For more on deficit politics now and how they're playing out today on Capitol Hill, I'm joined by Democratic Congressman John Yarmuth, Democrat of Kentucky. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, Martin.
Speaker Boehner's resume has got to be one of the worst in history, isn't it? He's not only been responsible for delivering the lowest approval ratings for Congress, he's also ensured that the nation's credit rating was downgraded during the debt ceiling debacle last year. And now we hear he wants to go back for some more. Is this man on some kind of suicide mission?
Well, I think this is true of congressional Republicans in general, because their entire economic agenda is to do what George W. Bush did, which got us into all sorts of trouble, and now he wants to play Groundhog Day again with the debt ceiling. It's which is a manufactured crisis. This is clearly a political move, and I think the American people, the way they reacted last summer when we went through this, certainly aren't going to respond positively to Speaker Boehner's position now.
But Congressman, I understand that John Boehner wants to attack the president and harm the president, but he knows full well that last year, in doing so, he hurt the country. He damaged the country's standing. He wants to do that again?
Well, apparently he does, and I'm a little miffed, well, maybe a lot miffed at some of the things he says. He said, well, this is a matter of principle for him and not a position. No, this is a position. He has a different definition of principle. Principle are things like freedom and freedom of speech and so forth. This is basically just trying to figure out how to pay our bills. And if his principle is that we're not going to acknowledge our debt and that we're going to slash more money that supports middle-class working families in this country and not ask the wealthiest Americans to contribute at all to debt reduction, then he's going to drop Republican congressional approval even further. Right. That's the definition of insanity, I guess.
Right. Mitt Romney is parading around the country, as you know, telling us how he will reduce the deficit. But isn't Mitt Romney an example of why this country's performance in math is about 21st in the world and behind Kazakhstan? He can't count. His program of tax cuts and increased spending on the military would actually increase the deficit, according to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget. It wouldn't decrease it, it would increase it.
Absolutely. I mean, his deficit, his budget proposals increase the national debt far more than any of the other proposals that are on the table. This is far from the astute business person that he holds himself out to be. This is a person who would drive this country off the cliff.
Now, last week, Republicans pushed through their budget bill, as you know, H.R. 5262, and that slashes $300 million from the budget for 2013. It cuts Meals on Wheels and other home-based services for 1.7 million seniors. It cuts transportation and respite care for nearly 1 million disabled adults. So I have to ask you, sir, are the poor, the elderly and disabled the only people that Republicans think should pay in terms of reducing the deficit?
Well, there's no evidence to the contrary. I mean, the Republican budget also would give people making over $1 million a year an additional $150,000 tax cut. They apparently think that the way out of our economic situation is that the more do with more, or the more get more, the less get less, and the people who have less get less, and that's going to solve a problem. We all know the numbers on the growing disparity between the wealthiest Americans and everyone else, the income gap, all of those things, and his proposals, along with Romney's proposals, would just exacerbate that problem.
Congressman John Yarmuth, thanks so much, sir.
Thank you, Martin.
And we'll be right back.